For privacy reasons, names and places have been changed. This story is inspired by true events.
In 2018, 41-year-old Mateo Salgado, an intrepid investigative reporter, ventured deep into the Javari Valley, Amazonas, an unforgiving interfluvial maze. Documenting illicit fishing routes, he was due at a remote rendezvous cove, but never arrived. Despite an extensive multi-agency investigation led by figures like patrol lead Yara Tucano and river cop Sergeant Leandro Portela, Mateo Salgado vanished without a trace into the dense, silent jungle. For 7 long years, his family, fixer Inez Duarte and colleagues, endured agonizing uncertainty, the Amazon's vastness swallowing all hope. Then, in 2025, during a critical council visit, a hand-carved paddle marked with clan glyphs was presented, sparking a stunning and unexpected revelation about intercepted radio chatter and a hidden portage. This is the complete investigation into what happened to Mateo Salgado. Before we continue, let us know where you're watching from, and if you enjoy this content, consider liking and subscribing to our channel. Now let's continue. Mateo Salgado, at 41, was a journalist forged in the crucible of high-stakes reporting. His career was defined by an unwavering commitment to truth, often sought in the most perilous corners of the world. In 2018, his focus narrowed to the heart of the Amazon, a region as vital as it was dangerous. His current assignment was particularly volatile: to meticulously document the intricate clandestine routes used by illegal fishing operations deep within the Javari Valley. This was not merely an ecological investigation, it was an exposé designed to unearth the powerful criminal enterprises that thrived on the systematic exploitation of the rainforest's resources, a trade fueled by demand and protected by the very remoteness of the territory. These entities were known for their ruthless methods and expansive reach, operating with an impunity that Mateo sought to challenge. The Javari Valley, a sprawling expanse in the Amazonas state, presented an interfluvial maze of rivers, tributaries, and dense, impenetrable jungle. It was a territory where the writ of law often dissolved into the humid air, communication was a luxury, and danger lurked in the shadows of every bend in the river. The illegal fishing, often involving endangered species and operating within protected indigenous territories, represented a significant component of the region's illicit economy, attracting hardened criminals. Mateo, a seasoned veteran of hostile environments, understood these risks intimately. His journey began with the familiar hum of an outboard motor, pushing a small aluminum boat deeper into this vast green labyrinth. He had meticulously planned his movements, coordinating with local contacts and outlining his expected trajectory, always aware that a single misstep could prove fatal. His final known objective was a specific, secluded rendezvous cove, a prearranged point where he was to meet a contact and relay his preliminary findings. Days turned into a week, and then another. The silence from the jungle grew heavier with each passing hour. The rendezvous cove remained empty. Mateo Salgado, a man who had navigated war zones and exposed corruption on multiple continents, never arrived. The alarm, initially a ripple of concern, quickly escalated into a full-blown crisis. A respected, experienced reporter, known for his meticulous planning and survival skills, had simply vanished, swallowed by the immense, indifferent wilderness. Disbelief warred with a creeping dread among those who knew him, as the horrifying reality of his sudden and complete disappearance began to set in, signaling the start of a mystery that would haunt the Amazon for years to come. The alarm for Mateo Salgado's disappearance quickly transformed into a desperate, sprawling search operation, one immediately hampered by the sheer scale and untamed nature of the Javari Valley. Authorities, alerted by Mateo's missed rendezvous and the growing silence, mobilized what resources they could, dispatching river patrols and coordinating with local communities. Leading the initial police investigation was Sergeant Leandro Portela, a river cop whose intimate knowledge of the Amazonas waterways was matched only by his awareness of their unforgiving nature. Portela understood the profound challenges of operating within this interfluvial maze, where every bend in the river could hide a secret and every tributary led deeper into a labyrinth. His team, though dedicated, faced an environment that swallowed human endeavors whole. Mateo's fixer, Inés Duarte, became a central figure in the early inquiries. She had meticulously organized his logistics and possessed the most current understanding of his itinerary, his contacts, and his intended rendezvous points. Her accounts provided crucial, though ultimately limited, insights into his final known intentions, painting a picture of a reporter fully aware of the risks, but meticulous in his preparations. Duarte could confirm Mateo's specific objective, documenting the illegal fishing routes and his expected return timeframe, but beyond that, the jungle had become a silent, impenetrable wall. The search efforts were monumental, yet frustratingly futile. The dense jungle canopy, the winding, often indistinguishable waterways, and the absence of any reliable infrastructure or communication networks severely impeded progress. Days of intense searching yielded nothing. The jungle, however, yielded no secrets. There was no overturned boat, no discarded equipment, no personal effects, nor any discernible signs of struggle on the riverbanks. The initial investigation was swallowed by a void of concrete evidence, leaving investigators with nothing but the vastness of the Amazon and a growing sense of helplessness. Early theories ranging from an unfortunate accident to Mateo getting lost in the bewildering terrain, or even a more sinister act of foul play, circulated among the search teams. Yet without a single tangible clue, each theory remained unsubstantiated, a fleeting echo in the immense indifferent maze of the Javari. The initial fervor of the search for Mateo Salgado, fueled by a desperate hope, gradually succumbed to the relentless indifference of the Amazon. Weeks bled into months, and the intensive search operations, once sprawling across vast tracts of the Javari Valley, began to contract. Resources, finite even in the face of such a profound mystery, were gradually reallocated. The absence of any new leads, any tangible clue that could point a direction, became a silent, insurmountable barrier. The jungle, which had offered no initial trace, continued to guard its secrets with an impenetrable silence. The dedicated teams, including Sergeant Portela and his river police, found their efforts increasingly hampered by the sheer scale of the wilderness and the frustrating void of evidence. Hope, a fragile commodity in such circumstances, began to wane, replaced by a gnawing sense of futility. 7 years later, the passage of time had etched Mateo Salgado's disappearance into the grim annals of unsolved mysteries. For his colleagues, his family, and his fixer, Inés Duarte, these years were a prolonged agony of uncertainty, a wound that refused to heal without the truth. The vibrant memory of Mateo, the tenacious reporter, slowly became intertwined with the haunting image of a man swallowed whole by the world's largest rainforest. His case transformed from an active investigation into a cold file, a stark reminder of the perils faced by those who dared to expose the dark underbelly of powerful, illicit networks in remote regions. The Amazon, in its vast, untamed majesty, had seemingly claimed another victim, leaving behind only questions and an enduring sense of loss. Mateo Salgado's story, once a headline, receded into the background, becoming a cautionary tale whispered among investigative journalists. His disappearance underscored the impunity often enjoyed by criminal enterprises operating in the shadows of the Amazon, where the rule of law struggled to penetrate the dense canopy. The official reports, once thick with witness statements and search logs, now rested dormant, marked by the chilling phrase, "No new leads." The central questions that had plagued the initial inquiry remained unanswered. Was it a tragic accident, a navigational error in the bewildering interfluvial maze? Or was it, as many suspected, something far more sinister, a calculated act of violence by those Mateo sought to expose, an attempt to silence a voice that threatened their illicit empire? Without a body, without a boat, without a single piece of forensic evidence, the Amazon kept its counsel, allowing the mystery of Mateo Salgado to deepen into an almost mythical silence. 7 years of silence had settled over the case of Mateo Salgado, a heavy shroud woven from the Amazon's vastness and the absence of answers. The world had moved on, but the unresolved mystery continued to echo, a persistent, quiet hum in the minds of those who refused to forget. Then, without warning, the profound stillness was shattered by an unexpected development, a single tangible object emerging from the very heart of the wilderness that had swallowed Mateo whole. It was not a discovery made by search parties or forensic teams, but presented through a more ancient diplomatic channel. In a remote settlement deep within the Javari Valley, a crucial council visit was underway. These gatherings, often infrequent and delicate, served as vital bridges between the indigenous communities and the external world, forums for discussing resource management, territorial protection, and the ever-present threat of illegal incursions. On this particular occasion, amidst the usual exchange of concerns and cultural protocols, an elder from a reclusive clan stepped forward. His movements were deliberate, his gaze steady, as he presented an artifact that instantly commanded the attention of everyone present. It was a paddle, meticulously hand-carved from a dense, dark wood. Its surface, smooth from years of use, was not remarkable in itself, but for the intricate patterns etched into its blade. These were not mere decorative markings, they were distinct clan glyphs, symbols deeply rooted in the history and identity of the indigenous people. The paddle, a common tool of riverine life, was instantly transformed into something far more profound, a silent messenger from a world that rarely offered its secrets without great reluctance. This was no ordinary piece of evidence. After nearly a decade of frustrating emptiness, the paddle represented the first concrete link, a direct communication from the very communities Mateo Salgado had sought to understand and protect. The glyphs hinted at a narrative, a coded message that transcended language, speaking of a presence, a journey, and perhaps an incident. Its appearance, after so long, was a jolt, a sudden surge of adrenaline into a case long thought dormant. It suggested a deep-seated connection to the indigenous inhabitants of the valley, implying that they possessed knowledge, perhaps even a direct witness account to Mateo's fate. The discovery raised more questions than answers, yet it offered the first tangible lead, shattering the 7 years of silence and irrevocably shifting the trajectory of the cold case. The Amazon, it seemed, was finally ready to speak. The presentation of the hand-carved paddle, adorned with its cryptic clan glyphs, shattered the 7-year dormancy of Mateo Salgado's case. It was an undeniable, tangible link, forcing authorities to reactivate the investigation with an urgency that had been absent for years. Sergeant Leandro Portela, who had overseen the initial fruitless search, was once again at the forefront, his grim determination now tempered with a flicker of renewed hope. He was joined by patrol lead Yara Tucano, whose expertise in indigenous affairs and territorial patrol brought a crucial, nuanced perspective to the reopened inquiry. The immense challenge remained, but now a specific artifact offered a direction. The paddle itself became the central enigma. Its smooth, dark wood held more than just aesthetic beauty. The intricate glyphs etched into its blade were not merely decorative. They represented a form of communication, a coded message from the heart of the jungle. The immediate task was to decipher this silent language. Was it a territorial marker, a warning, a lament, or perhaps even a map? Understanding its meaning was paramount, a key to unlocking the truth of Mateo's disappearance. This new phase of the investigation demanded a delicate and respectful approach, bridging the vast cultural chasm that often separated official inquiries from indigenous communities. Engaging with the elders and community members became a painstaking process, requiring patience, trust-building, and a deep understanding of their protocols and history. Cultural mediators were brought in, their role vital in navigating the subtle complexities of communication and interpretation. They sought to understand not just the literal meaning of the glyphs, but the context in which the paddle was presented and what message the clan intended to convey after so many years of silence. Initial interpretations, gleaned through careful dialogue and expert consultation, began to suggest a connection to a specific river system, perhaps even a particular journey or event known to the clan. While the full narrative remained elusive, the paddle, even partially understood, provided the first concrete parameters for a renewed search. The immense interfluvial maze of the Javari Valley, once an overwhelming, undifferentiated expanse, now began to contract, its vastness narrowed to specific tributaries and hidden waterways associated with the clan's territory. The cold case, once lost in the Amazon's impenetrable silence, had found its first guiding star. The painstaking dialogue with the indigenous elders, initiated by the paddle's silent message, finally culminated in a pivotal revelation that irrevocably altered the trajectory of Mateo Salgado's disappearance. It was not a sudden burst of information, but a carefully considered disclosure, delivered with the gravity befitting a long-held secret. The elders, guardians of their territory and wary of external interference, chose their moment, sharing intelligence that had been known within their community for years, but only now deemed safe to release. Their testimony spoke of more than just the paddle. It unveiled the chilling details of Mateo's final moments. They disclosed fragments of intercepted radio chatter, conversations overheard by their hunters and passed down through their oral traditions. This chatter, though cryptic to outsiders, had resonated with specific details within the indigenous community, hinting at coordinated movements and a planned operation. The very existence of this communication suggested premeditation, transforming the narrative from a potential accident or a random act of violence into something far more sinister, a targeted, organized plot. The voices on the radio, though unidentified, spoke of a package and a clearing, terms that, when combined with their other disclosures, began to paint a terrifyingly clear picture. Crucially, the elders revealed the existence of a hidden portage, a secret path used to bypass a treacherous stretch of river, known only to a few. This was not a regular travel route, but a covert passage, ideal for an ambush. It was here, they explained, that the clearing mentioned in the radio chatter was located, and where Mateo Salgado's journey had been violently interrupted. This hidden portage, an overlooked detail in the vastness of the Javari, became the definitive covert ambush site. It was a place designed for stealth and surprise, a perfect trap for someone meticulously documenting illegal routes, someone who threatened the established order. The forensic team, working in parallel with the cultural interpreters, delivered the final undeniable piece of the puzzle. Scientific analysis of the resin found on the hand-carved paddle, a unique organic compound used for its finish, yielded a precise match to a trace residue discovered on Mateo Salgado's notebook strap. This wasn't merely circumstantial, it was a physical link, a direct connection between the indigenous artifact and the vanished journalist. The paddle, a symbol of communication, had also been a witness. This forensic confirmation cemented the elders' narrative, leaving no room for doubt. The inquiry shifted entirely, no longer a search for a lost man, but a full-scale investigation into a premeditated murder. Mateo Salgado had not simply vanished, he had been silenced. With the hidden portage definitively identified as the covert ambush site and the chilling fragments of intercepted radio chatter confirming a premeditated attack, the pursuit of justice for Mateo Salgado commenced with renewed vigor. Sergeant Leandro Portela, alongside patrol lead Yara Tucano, spearheaded the operation, their teams now equipped with tangible evidence and a clear direction. The forensic match between the paddle resin and Mateo's notebook strap provided an irrefutable link, transforming the vague mystery into a concrete criminal investigation. Arrests followed, targeting individuals implicated by the radio communications and local intelligence, initiating a complex legal process that aimed to dismantle the very illegal fishing networks Mateo had sought to expose. Crucially, the resolution of Mateo's disappearance rested entirely on the immense courage and vital contribution of the indigenous elders and their community. For 7 years, they had held the secret, their knowledge a heavy burden in a region where speaking out could mean reprisal. Their decision to present the hand-carved paddle and later to share the intelligence regarding the radio chatter and the hidden portage was the singular turning point. Without their trust and bravery, Mateo Salgado's fate would have remained forever shrouded in the Amazon's impenetrable silence. They were not merely witnesses, but the custodians of truth, ensuring that a journalist's sacrifice would not be in vain. Mateo Salgado's legacy, though tragically sealed by violence, was ultimately defined by the very truth he died pursuing. His meticulous investigation into illegal fishing routes, cut short by the criminals he sought to uncover, ultimately led to their exposure. His story became a stark, powerful testament to the inherent dangers and indispensable importance of investigative journalism in the world's most vulnerable regions. It underscored the precarious position of those who dared to challenge powerful, illicit enterprises operating with impunity in the shadows of the Amazon. This case resonated far beyond the Javari Valley, casting a harsh light on the ongoing struggle against environmental crimes and the systemic violence that often accompanies them. Mateo's disappearance, once a symbol of the Amazon's unconquerable mystery, transformed into a rallying cry for accountability and protection for those who stand against exploitation. The secret of his vanishing, hidden for 7 years within the vast interfluvial maze, was finally unveiled, bringing a measure of closure to a long-suffering family and an enduring demand for justice in the heart of the jungle.